some programming language we want to execute. So the Java program we are executing. So at that time, it's showing an error to check the versions of the Java. Okay. So what happened in my system? So I've installed Java. Later I installed with some other tools. So that tool is also having the Java command. That's what I'm using, the Java interpreter. No, that tool is also having the Java separate, but it is the lower version. So for that reason, whenever I give a Java command, Java compiler, it's not giving any problem because the tool is not having any Java compiler because already it's a pre-compiled code. So only it is using the interpreter for running purpose. So for that reason, when I give the compiler is working with the same installation path. But whereas when it comes to the Java, okay, at that time it is giving an error because of the version mismatch. So what I'm compiling with the higher version and the Java version is available, the lower version. So due to that reason, it is unable to execute. But now I've just made the changes. So in such a way that maybe I explained yesterday. Okay. How to set the path. So we can set the path by taking the properties of computer, advanced system settings, and environmental variables. Now what I've done in the environmental variables, you see, there's a path variable. Okay. So I just go through this path and I went to the edition and I set that as the first path. Okay, because here you see there's a common files Oracle Java. So Java path, here also one more tool is there. So this tool is using that Java. Okay, for that reason this was available at the beginning and what I am setting the path was the last. So what happens usually when it operating system, when you give any command, it will starts from the first path. So what is the first path is there? It will look at is that command is available in that folder, in that directory. If it is available, it will execute. Otherwise, it will go to next like this. So at that time, here also the Java is there. And what I have done this one, it was at the last prompt. So I'll show you that now how it will be changes. Just when I go the prompt here, now I'm using the Java compiler to compile, already compiled. Once again, if you want to C followed by welcome.java. Now it has been compiled. It is not having any error. So it is compiled. So with this compiled, we can check the directory. It will be having the two files. Now you can execute by using the Java interpreter by using like Java, okay, followed by a class name. So I can give welcome. So then if I click enter, now see the output of the program is welcome to Java. Okay, it is showing welcome to Java. So because of we written as only welcome to Java in the program. So again, if you want to edit, you can go. Notepad. Then I'm using welcome.java. Fine. Now what I will do, I will add this one more statement here. The same printout statement, I will add it twice. Okay. So Java system, Java again I'm printing. So if I added one more time the same statement, now if I save this file and if I exit, now you can go again in the prompt. So I can give Java's C followed by welcome dot Java. Now after compilation, so again it is compiled. Now you can check your directory. Again it will be having class. Now see the difference here. Now here you see 424. The file size is 424, whereas now file size is the 448 because of the byte code has been changed. Now I'll go with this. Then execute Java followed by welcome, then enter. Now see, you are getting 3 times. Okay, because now it has been updated. So from now onwards, it is not necessary to compile. Just you can execute many number of times. You will get the same output code. So what you can do, just you can take this Java code, take this Java class file and distribute to anyone. So they have to use just this Java interpreter and they can start executing. So that is the mechanism. In any system, you can execute. Only it requires a JVM for execution. So do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Fine. So yesterday what happened? I will show you that by changing here. See, I've moved this path. I'll move this to the fully down. Okay. Then click OK. And again here also I've done the changes. So I'll move this to the down. Then OK. Now click OK. Then check environmental variable, exit from this. Again, you open a command prompt. Okay, cd Java programs. Fine. Now go with Java followed by welcome. Now see, it's giving an error. Okay, so that error is, see, the version it is indicating. Here it is indicating the version 58 and 52. Because of the path variable what I am using in this environmental variable, when you go with a path, edit. So here, this Java program files, one more is there, no, here. It is also using the same Java interpreter. So for that reason, yes? Hello? Any doubt? Do you have any problem with the network? Now I log the system. Huh?
No, sir, we don't. No, sir.
Because a few of them as leaving their rooms, it will be counted. So it will be monitoring for everything. For that reason, few of them are leaving, again they are coming, joining and all. Okay. So once you join, you should be in the room unless final close. Fine. Now again, you just move this to up because I need to change that into the first one. Because the problem is, see, even though when it comes to here common file Java Oracle, if it uses the higher version, there is no problem. Okay, because all the class which we compiled, all the class which we created with a lower version of compiler can support by your higher version. But the higher version compiled will not support it by lower version. So for that reason, even though if I change this path, the second, this Java Oracle is also works because of this is lower version, whereas what I'm setting the path is the higher version. Now I'll go this again, click OK. Now I'll minimize. Now exit. Then once again you can start CMD. Then you can check it here. See Java. Sorry. CD. Sorry. Java followed by welcome. Now see, you are getting the output. Okay. Because of the reason is main is the path setting. So we have two versions of Java in this system. That's why we are getting the yesterday problem. So is there any doubts? Do you have any doubts?
No, sir.
So we can
No, sir.
Sagar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, fine.
Sir, how can we install it, sir, in our systems?
In system, I'll just show it. It's very easy installation. Just go to your any browser. Okay. Just I'll go here some browser. So I'll take okay. So you can just type Java, okay, development kit, or just we can use the JDK. So you see Java development kit. Okay, it will go to the different version. See Java SC. Okay, there are different versions are there. You can use it any version, or some path is here also we have. Okay, just you go to this download. Now see the important Oracle JDK license update and all that they mentioned, and they given the versions here. See for which system you need. So Java SE development kit. Okay, Java development kit is also there. This is the advanced version they started. Now in that you can install it into your required operating system. So for this Windows. So again, see Windows we have a two. One is a x86 system. The other one is x64 system. So this was the 32-bit version, whereas this was the 64-bit version. So just you can download this 64-bit version exe. So it's nearly around 800 MB something is there. Just you can download and you can start installation. So same thing, you can go for any other operating system also. So we'll have see Linux based platform. So the Linux based platform will be support for your Fedora and all. Or we can have in the Fedora also we have installation. Just go to the Fedora, there you can search it packages. You will get the Java development kit. Okay, just if I click this, say it will say I have to be so and so. If I yes, I receive the acceptance of this, download this. Okay, I'll just start downloading. So it will be asking just username and password. Do not have an Oracle account, you can create free account. Okay, freely available account is there. Or you can identify the different paths. There are different paths are also there for downloading. This is for the original Oracle system. Okay. So create an account yourself, then start downloading. Or if you have already an account, you can use it. Okay. Yes. Then installation. Then once you get this exe file, just click it. Just it will ask the path where you want to store. So no need say you do not change anything. Simply say all it may be okay. Yes. Next. Okay. So once it's installed, it will ask that restart the system. So restart the system. Then directly go to your path settings. So open a systems in advanced system setting, environmental variables, check your Java path. So if it is already set the Java path here, path variable name, don't worry. Otherwise, you just where you installed, you know that path, just copy that path. That's what I'm shown in the previously. See, if you go directly in the C program, so we have a program files. In that we have a Java. So here JDK version 14.01. Okay. Then go to the bin. So search it. Is the Java is there here? See, we have okay Java, JSP Swift, Java here. See, okay. Then Java C, Java doc. I mentioned no Java C and Java doc. This is another command. Okay, Java doc command, Java C. Okay, all these are there. You just copy this path. Copy this path and create a new in the path variable and add it. Okay, do you have any other doubts? Do you need anything?
No, sir.
Fine.
No, sir.
Now I'll close this. It is okay. Once I'll go to here. It is uses the Java environmental execution. If you want, we can do this way also. Java home. Okay, this way also we can do Java home and we can add it, but we are not adding the here. See the path variable. Bin we are not added. Default. So default it will be create Java home. Why is Java home? Because this Java home is a variable which holds a value to check where the Java is there. Next time when I go any other installation, at that time if the Java is required, at that time what it does, it won't go for the Java commands and all. Just it will check the Java home environmental variable. So from that it will extract the path. From that it will be extract the path. Within that it will be automatically adds the bin directory, and then it will look at what are the commands is required for your newly installable tool purpose. Okay. So for that reason we added this Java home. Okay. So if you are a standalone system and we are not following any instruction installation and all, at that time this is not necessary. Just use it the home variable itself. Okay. Again, we have a class path also. Like class path is also there. So that I will discuss it again. So I think I've created that class path. No, I will not. I have not created. I'll explain it. The class path also. So what is this class path? The question. Okay. The same thing here. See, when I come to here, what we have done? We have done JAVA followed by we are given WLCOME. So what is that welcome WLCOME a given file? So it is a file name, it indicates a class name, correct? So what does the Java interpreter? It will look at that welcome class file. So then again the question comes, so where we can search this class files? So by default, it will be checked in the current directory. Every command, whatever the command you can go, by default, first it will look it into in your Java, in your current working directory. If your current working directory is not having that particular command, then it will go to the path. So in the path, it will look that commands. Fine, that is the concept always your operating system follows. Now same thing here, see, I given Java followed by welcome. It means the Java command has to take and it has to look the some files. That files is called as the class file. Okay. So welcome.class file is there. Look it. Now, if I deleted this welcome.class file, for example, I'll go to this directory. Okay, fine. Now I'll delete this. Okay. Fine. So after deletion, you can check the directory. So there is no class file. So then when I go with Java followed by welcome, then see, it is not directly giving the error. It will taking some time. So that some time it's checking because of first it will look it into current working directory. if it is not available, it will look it into some specific directories also. So that directory, we can store it as one more environmental variable called as class path. So if you assign a class path equal to some path, say for example, you compile this Java welcome.java file and take that class file, put it in some other directory and execute it. Okay, how? Just by using the Java followed by welcome, it will look that particular current working directory. If it is not available, then it will look it into the class path variable path. So within that path, it will check is that class file is available. If it is available, it will start execution. So for that reason, even apart from only having this path variable, we have a Java home file. Okay, environmental variable, class path environmental variables are there. Okay, so we'll go with this one by one because we cannot discuss all this in one shot. So which are the environmental variable is required, that we'll discuss it one by one in the later. Any other doubts? Okay. So from this now, so I think till here we are completed in the last class. So today we'll move on to the session. In this session, Java variables. Okay, so what is Java variables? We know that RD a variable. What do you mean by variable? Okay, so variable is a container which holds the value. Okay, value while the Java program is executing. It's not the exact definition of variable. With respect to Java, I'm saying. Okay, with respect to C, it is just like I said, a variable is a container which holds the value. Okay, while executing so and so program. If it is C, you can add C. If it is a Java, you can add Java. If it is a C++, you can add C++. Otherwise, just you can mention a variable is a container which holds the value for the program execution, while program execution. And so a variable is assigned with a data type and memory location by name. So whenever you take any variable name, so variable name will be having one is its name. So we are identifying that variable by using name. So name of the variable you should have to specify. Fine. The next is we have to specify name is compulsory. Then once the name is there, then we should have to specify the data type. So because the name is for identification of that variable, and next is what type of data we want to store it in that variable. So data type is required, and next it will be allocate a memory location for that variable. So once you specified all this data type and name, so memory location will be assigned by your compiler. So if it is a static memory allocation, okay, so if it is a dynamic memory allocation, it will be allocated by using some function. So operating system, it will be interacts, then memory will be allocates. So any variable if you take, it will be having a name and a data type which we want to hold. And the next is the memory location of that particular variable. Fine. And when you go to the Java, so there are three types of variables in the Java. So that we call as local variables and instant variables and static variables. Okay. So there are three types of variables in Java: local, instant, and static. So what do you mean by local variable? A variable declared inside the body of the method is called as local. So when you go any methods, instead of calling function, we call here is methods. So if you go with any methods, inside the method we'll define some variables, and that variables are called as the local variables. And we can use this variable, okay, only within that method. That means whatever the variable we are defining in that method, so only in that particular method only we can use it. We cannot use that variable outside the method. Okay. And another point we added with this local variable, if a local variable cannot be defined as static keyword, that means when I go with this method, so the static variable, if you added that as a static keyword with a variable, then it will become a different issue. Okay. So for that reason, local variables are nothing but inside the function or inside the method what we are defining, all variables we called as the local variables. Next, instance variable, a variable declared inside the class but outside the body of the method. That means when you go to the class, already mentioned that inside the class we'll have a data member as well as methods. The data members, whatever we are defining, so that all variables we call as instance variable. So that's why an instant variable is a variable declared inside the class but outside the body of the method. So whatever the methods are there in the body of the class, okay, it will not come. It will be outside the method, but inside the class, and it is not declared as static, and it is not declared as a static. It should be normal variable, and it is called as instant variable because its value is instance specific and not shared among the instance. So it means when I declare an object of that class, at that time that memory will be allocated for that variables. For that reason, it's a value to that instance, not at the other. So if you define another object, the other object is also having the memory location for holding that. So that's why it is called as an instant value. So for that object, it's an instant value for that object. So it will not be shareable. It will not having any sharing concept. So for every object, it will create a one set of memory location for the object for that particular data members. Okay. Like that, second object will also allocate a different memory, not a shared memory. The third one is a static variable. A static variable is nothing but a variable which is declared as static, called as static variable. So if you add the static keyword with the declaration of variable, then that variable we call it as the static, and it cannot be local. So usually we cannot define this in the local, and we can create a single copy of static variable and share among all the instance of the class. So if I define a variable inside the class and that I'm calling it as instant variable, if you add the static keyword with that, that means we can give one instant copy of the data and share it to all. Now see the difference. So here not shareable, whereas here the shareable. So copy of static variable and share among all the instant of the class. So we can define that static. We can share all among all the instance, and the memory location for static variable happens only once when the class is loaded in the memory. That means once you define that class and once you loaded that class, so at that time it will be allocate one fixed memory, and that same memory can be used by all the instance. Okay. So whereas if you are not added a static keyword with that variable, it will be a separate copy. It will be a separate copy for each and every instance. That's why we call as only once when the class is loaded. Do you have any doubt?
No, sir.
Do you have any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Fine. The example program are given here. So I've just taken one class. The class is A, okay, and within that class there are two data members and one method is there. Okay, So one method is there. Then once int data equal to 50, I just given here. So it is nothing but it's an instant variable. What I mentioned, an instant variable is nothing but declaring a variable inside the class. So inside the class, but outside the method. So this is the one instant variable. And whereas see you added static keyword, static int m equal to some 100. So now this variable, we are calling it as the static variable. And the local variable is inside the function. So inside the method, so void method, inside that method, we declared as a one variable called as an int. Okay, so int n equal to 90. So that is called as local variable. So this is local variable and this is static variable and this is the instant variable. Is it clear? Now you got the clear idea about this three types of variables.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
have the same mechanism?
Yes, sir.
Do you have the same mechanism in C++?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
No, sir. Like static variable, we can create inside of function.
Okay. Here also we can create okay. When it comes to the recursion, you can create that static variable inside the method also. That is also called as local variable, but only one time instant it will create. Even though if you call recursively, it will not initialize, it will not allocate memory location for each and every time recursion. Only one time it will be allocates. Okay, so static we can use it inside the method also, but the behavior is different. Okay, so when it will come into the static is if you go for the recursion. For example, I'm calling this method we are calling inside the again function. We know recursion method. So if you are applying any recursion method, at that time the static also we can use it inside the function. So that mechanism is there, Java also. Okay. Now come to the data types. So Java is also supports some data type like how C, C++ supports. Okay. What I mean by data type is nothing but the data type specify the different sizes and value that can be stored in a variable. Now we discussed variable. So inside the variable, we are storing some data. So once you are storing that data, based on that data, it will be allocate some memory location. For that reason, the data types are nothing but specify the size, different sizes and value that can be stored in the variable. So these are the first different size and the value. Now, when you come to the Java or any other programming language, also we have the two types of data types. The one we call as a primitive data type, other one is the non-primitive data type. So the primitive data types are nothing but the primitive data type includes boolean, character, byte, short, int, long, float, double. All this we call as a predefined data type sometime. Okay, instead of calling primitive, we can call it as the predefined data type. So this is all we call as primitive data types. So boolean, character, byte, short, int, long, float, double. And the non-primitives are data types are nothing but we call it as class, okay, interface, arrays, structures, what we have studied in CL or no, all these we call as the non-primitive data types. Okay, why? Because non-primitive, it is not having any direct operations. Say for example, if I define a one class for the complex number, and if I add the two members inside that to add two complex numbers, we cannot use directly the predefined operators which is available in the programming language. Like I can add a two integer number easily. I can write a plus b. If a and b are two integer numbers, I can directly add it. So that is the difference between the primitive and the non-primitive. So primitive data type is nothing but it directly supports all the operators which are available in programming language to perform some operations. whereas the non-primitive data type will not allow that type of operator. We should have to write the code for that. That is what you are studied in C++ called as operator overloading. You have studied, no? The operator overloading is a mechanism that is used for changing the behavior. Fine. So with this now, I will just go to here, data type, primitive, non-primitive. So when it comes to primitive, Boolean, so we call it as Boolean, character, numeric. So again, numeric will be having two types. One is a character, other one is an integral. So when it goes to integral, again we have a two-part, integer as well as floating point. So integer is again, we have a type like a byte, short, int, long, okay, integer type. And floating point, we have a double and float and double. Character, we have a character. Again, the character array as well as string is there, but string will not come into the primitive data type. It will be comes under the non-primitive data type. So on the non-primitive data type, I can mention here, see the string, arrays, classes, all this we called as a non-primitive data type, because I cannot use this string operation to perform direct operation using plus, minus symbol or multiplication symbol. But we can use this operator for overloading. Okay, if I consider this as a one class, and within that class I can give this plus operator and minus operator or multiplication operator for the operator overloading concept, and then you can give the same behavior. Okay, but that behavior will not be same if you write your own code and somebody has write his own code, that behavior will be changes. Now come to the primitive data types which are available in the Java. Is first one is the Boolean, the small letter Boolean, we have to use it. So this Boolean is nothing but it's a data type which holds the two value called as true and false. So it's a true and false. So the default value which when I define any Boolean variable, by default it's a false statement. So the false is the default value. If you want to change that into true, we can use the keyword true. Okay. So TRUE, we can use it. I'll just give an example. You get true value, we can store. Now this Boolean data, but a 1 bit size, it will allocate 1 byte of memory location. So this concept was not there in your C++. If I want to define any 1 bit flags, we should have to use either a character type or a byte or in the form of integer. Okay, we do not have any other type. So for that reason, so Boolean will be the extra data type which is available in C for defining true and
Bool is there in
false.
C++.
Bool is there, but the memory location allocation is different. Now here, the memory value, it stores false or true. It's a 1 byte of memory location. 1 bit of memory location.
Okay, sir.
And the next data type is the character. The character data type is here. It is a 2 byte character memory location. Whereas in C++, it's a 1 byte character. So 1 byte character, because of it uses the ASCII standard. C++ uses the ASCII standards, whereas your Java uses the universal character, universal byte. So when it's a universal type, so at that time it taking as 2 bytes. So 2 bytes in the sense 2 to power of 16. Because 1 byte equal to 8 bits, so 2 to power of 16 in the sense it supports 65,536 different characters. Okay, so what are the different characters? The question comes because we already studied ASCII character will be having only 256. Okay, it will start from 0 to 255. But Java supports here the universal character type. So it is a Unicode data type. So Unicode character it supports. When it supports a Unicode character, so it will be allocated for 2 bytes. So that extra characters are like, see, I mentioned here, you see, it can use for United States language characters, Western European languages, then Russian language, Chinese, and so on. So the remaining character, what it is there, no, that character is for the support of different language characters. Because when I go in one language, it will be having different character. It will not have only A and B. So for that reason, I will have a different bytes of this. So I think it's now time up. So before I'll continue this explanation in the next class, I'll just take the attendance.